Hey folks, I'm Mark. Thank you for joining me for this short talk about video games. You are listening to Quick Play, so let's get right into it. So, gaming subscription services got a really big name with Xbox Game Pass. But that big name just been kind of pushed over a good bit, but not before it inspired a whole litany of other subscription services. So the benefit of that makes sense. If you don't mind not owning your games, this is a relatively cheap way to try out new games by paying a one flat fee subscription and get a whole catalog that you have access to, as long as you're paying for that catalog. I realize a lot of these subscriptions might already be attached to other stuff you already subscribe to, which is what happened to me. Because it seems like every massive tech company wants to shove a library of games into our grubby little thumbs. So here I am, just kind of shilling for all these massive tech companies. I know there's a good bit of complexity around all of this, and everyone has their pet massive corporation that they love to hate. If you're conservative, it's Disney. If you're more progressive, it's Disney. But all that to say, if your conscience prevents you from pulling on these threads, I get it. But that being said, let's just dive into these subscription services. We're entering in this episode looking at it within three parts. I want to analyze the services within the big three, being your Xboxes, your PlayStations, or your Nintendos, and then the ones that you didn't know you had. That's the main hook here, after all. But then one little bonus, we'll look at some others you probably don't have, but are worth a look. As we go through these, there's also kind of a secret side topic as we talk through the rise of cloud-based gaming. It's really gotten better over time. I feel like it's gotten more consistent. I remember early on, it just not working well. But I also think it really only works in the context of a subscription. No one really appreciates the cloud versions of games on Nintendo Switch. This is the first and last time that I mentioned Google Stadia. But I think that there is a future for cloud gaming. And for me personally, I think that future is really in this context of subscription services. And I think that's kind of really the only way it actually succeeds. But we see that in a few exciting ways. But back into part one of this, looking at subscriptions in the big three. We're going to start with Xbox here. And I want to pull up some screen sharing if you're watching on YouTube. We'll walk through these, even just one at a time, and take a look through them. I have done just way too much prep work around this, and I'm a little bit nervous. You know what the runtime is, but I do not know. So we're talking about Xbox Game Pass. And I should note, the privilege to play online is tied to all these cases of subscription services, but that feature over time has become kind of the extra benefit rather than the main thing. But for Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, if you want to play multiplayer online, you kind of get it. You get some of these libraries with it too. Game Pass, I have my own love affair and fallout with Game Pass, which was really just before Microsoft started making decisions that kind of soured public perception. Is right before that. It's kind of when I got out. I was not reading the tea leaves. It no longer made sense for my habits. But Microsoft is now constantly just making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Although they did have a promising start to this year. I found a text that I sent to Nate McKeever of the Backlog Breakdown back on April 30th. And where I said this. So I said, it has also been a subtle positive trajectory for Xbox. They only really had the marketing for Clair Obscur, but between Oblivion, Avowed, South of Midnight being at least a base hit, and Indiana Jones last year, they have had more positive press than negative press lately. And for me, it seemed like they're really building goodwill back kind of after the layoffs in 2024. On May 1st, which was the very next day, Xbox announced price hikes to Series X and S. And I think they probably also announced hikes to Xbox Game Pass, which here we are talking about that specifically. And that price of Ultimate particularly has doubled in price over the last few years. It was once the certified best deal in gaming, and I bought into it. but it was a little bit too good to be true. I always gave Microsoft and Game Pass the benefit of the doubt, because in the sense of like, surely this is making money. They have a plan. It just takes daddy Microsoft's money to make it all make sense at first. Turns out they didn't really have a plan, or the consensus there as well is like, maybe there was a plan, but then acquiring Activision, Blizzard King, that whole thing flipped the whole plan upside down. Anyway, here's where it stands now. Got 3 tiers of plans. Kept changing names, but all come with the online functionality. But now, and also they all come with cloud streaming. Although each higher tier gets a little bit better, shorter wait times is what they say to get into your games. Essential, so where it starts out, $10 a month for 50 plus games. Premium you get is $15 a month for 200 plus games. And then Ultimate being $30 a month now, 500 plus games. And notably, going back to Premium, you no longer get day one games. If you want to play it day one on Game Pass, you're paying the $30 a month. Ultimate does now also come alongside Fortnite Crew, EA Play, and Ubisoft Plus Classics. I think at one point, nope, Premium does not include EA Play. Pretty sure. Nope, does not. There is also PC. That is $16.49 a month for hundreds of PC games. Also EA Play. That's where I was remembering there it came in as well. But these have some key games there. Let's take a look. Game Pass Essential. You got some Warzone. There's free anyway, but Fallout 76, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Fallout 4, Psychonauts 2. Some good games there. Meanwhile, Ultimate, that's where you're getting your Call of Duty Black Ops 7, Mortal Kombat 1, Outer Worlds 2. Those are your day one games. Those are kind of what you're looking at. I do want to give a hot take here. I think technically this is still the best deal in gaming. When you add in EA Play, Ubisoft Plus, and Fortnite Crew, plus all the day one Microsoft releases, this is still the cheapest way to do all that. But practically, this only makes sense for like the super power user, those who are playing 20 plus hours of gaming a week, and you're playing 30 to 50 different games a year or more. And that target audience, that is shrinking. You're not getting many people with that. Game Pass had always felt like this low cost entry point into trying a bunch of games, and they were the lower tiers, but they really all felt like they were just existed to upsell you to Ultimate, which was like the quote unquote real Game Pass. But now Ultimate doesn't make sense for most people playing games. It doesn't make sense for me. And I have a video game podcast, and it certainly does not make sense as an entry point for a lot of games, which feels like that runs in the face of the marketing campaign that's trying to introduce people to Xbox through the This Is an Xbox campaign, where it's every possible screen out there has Game Pass on it. That being said, there are these cheaper tiers still, and they do have access to cloud gaming. Just don't really feel legitimate because they don't have the day one games. Feels like this is kind of there just to keep This Is an Xbox dream alive. Especially kind of this premium middle tier just feels like the weird no man's land. Next up, we are looking at PlayStation Plus. This website needs a formatting issue, or just my window's too small. I have far fewer opinions about this one, and it's relatively quieter and less controversial, but also somehow more complicated than Game Pass. There are 3 tiers here as well. You're talking about Essential, $10 a month or $80 for the year. And you get your monthly games, like the olden days when you had just games with gold and whatever PlayStation's was. You can still claim those month's games that they rotate out, and they stay in your library forever as long as you're subscribed to PS Plus at some tier. Right now, those games are Lego Horizon Adventure, Scott Killing Floor 3, Outlast Trials, Neon White. So those games rotate in and out. You keep them. They don't go away as long as you have access to them, as long as you're still paying. But don't get it twisted, because there's PS Plus still also has its own Game Pass-esque game catalog for the higher tiers. Up here on Extra, it's at $15 a month, or I think it's $135 a year. I didn't think of that in my notes. The game catalog has 395 games in it, and they make them almost impossible to find because it's first puts it in at alphabetical order. So you're looking at 11 Memories Retold and A Space for the Unbound and A-Train Express. But you also have things like Skate Story and Spider-Man from 2018 and Miles Morales, Red Dead Redemption 1, Cyberpunk 2077, Ghost of Tsushima. Those are all in there. And then Extra also includes the Ubisoft Classics catalog. Next, beyond that, you then have Premium, which is $18 a month or $160 for the year. That gets you the Classics catalog, which you're talking about your old PS3, PS2, PS1 games, I think. Original Resident Evil 2, Myst is in there, Twisted Metal games. And then you also get the game trials. And so that can be that's kind of the day one games, because Extra and Premium don't really get those games immediately. Some random games do, like Sword of the Sea came out recently on day one. But you can try these trials for anywhere between like 1 to 5 hours, typically around 2 hours. And those include things like Death Stranding and Spider-Man 2 and Baldur's Gate 3. The last of the big three is Nintendo Switch Online. My full bias is on display here, but I think this is actually the best value in gaming. You do have to be into retro games, and particularly Nintendo retro games, and you're willing to look past their age a little bit. If you can only stand modern games, then this isn't really for you. Also, you should get over that. But it feels like this treasure trove of games that I saw on the shelf as a kid, never played, and so it's fun to kind of check these out. There are some other bonuses where you get, online play, of course. There's some free DLC for the expansion pass. There's a Nintendo Music app. Game chat is there for Switch 2 users. You end up with 2 tiers here, where there's the base Nintendo Switch Online, which is still only $20 a year, which still feels insane. That comes out to, like $3 a month. I can't do the math in my head right now. Or you can buy it. You can actually buy it month to month at $4 a month, $20 a year. Just makes way more sense. Or you can also do a family plan for $35 a year total and have up to 8 members on that. And that gets you the NES, Super Nintendo, and Game Boy libraries. Or you got your Switch Online Plus expansion pack, which is $50 a year, or the family plan is $80 a year for up to 8 people. Included in that too is you get N64 games, you get Game Boy Advance games, Genesis games are on there, and now Switch 2 has some GameCube games that are being added in, alongside some free DLC for games like Mario Kart and Animal Crossing, plus the Switch 2 expansions or editions of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Sharing with those family members it makes this option like weirdly really easy. And it's not even really being sneaky. Nintendo's website here puts it as you can team up with 7 other people of the family membership. They make no distinction that they need to be in the same household or within sharing your last name or anything. Even in practice, this is what I do. Like, everyone has their own account. You're not sharing payment info. You just add their email to your family and they're added in. One person's paying for the subscription, but then you just kind of get your people to Venmo you, and it makes it really easy. And that $80 a year for the family subscription comes down to $10 a year if you're splitting it 8 ways. They actually made it really easy on purpose, which is weird of Nintendo. And I feel like Expansion Pack especially has really developed into something more palatable over time. There was a sticker shock at first when they first announced the $50 a year, but it's really been beefed up over the years. There are 2 pretty major detractors to Switch Online, though. Is one, you don't get any modern games. I mentioned that. Any new games like on those other services, you only get the retro stuff. The other thing is, this is really frustrating to me, is that they're so slow to update in the libraries, but more so that it just feels wildly inconsistent and just unpredictable. It makes those kind of bigger gaps of games where it's like, why isn't this game on the service yet? It makes those gaps just feel even bigger, because it's just like, when is this even possibly going to come to it? It's generally once a month, but even that is like, you never really know. On the flip side, though, the games don't roll off. I don't think I've ever, maybe there was like one or two that were taken down. There were third-party games that had some licensing, but really, like, there's not any press releases like you get with Game Pass or PS Plus, where these games are leaving. They just stay there forever, and that value keeps going up. So next up, we are now getting into part 2, the subscription service you didn't know you had. This does really depend on your willingness to play games on a PC or a phone or a tablet, or use cloud streaming. If you are a native only console gamer only, there's actually not much for you here, and I apologize for that, but you should keep listening, because I think some of this stuff is worth checking out. It does come with a challenge of how you play them. I've been trying some of these out, and it's like I'm doing a cloud streaming on my laptop with an Xbox controller, and it's just on my laptop or on my phone, and that doesn't make as well. Like, I don't have anything like a backbone, I do have a backbone, a little backbone that's, but what I'm saying, the controllers that you shove your phone into them. I don't have anything like that, so I'm kind of figuring this out as I go. But we will start here with Amazon Luna, recently revamped. And honestly, this is the inspiration for this episode. I started playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on Amazon Luna, I'm really enjoying it. And that's also, I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to do this? I've been playing on my phone a little bit, on my laptop a little bit. I don't really know how. I feel like I need to set this up on a desk or something, which is not usually how I play. Luna does have this emphasis on party games, with a lot of pretty cool concepts that I'll try, with their game night branding, where you essentially use your phone as controller. It's pulling off of Jackbox and kind of inspired by that. There's a lot of Jackbox games on here, actually, while also being paired with some more heavy hitters like Indiana Jones, and Hogwarts Legacy is another big one on this service. All of these are only cloud streaming, but it's working pretty well. I've been really impressed by it. It does, alongside this too, were some headlines around Amazon's gaming division getting hit with layoffs. Their foray into game development seems to be tossed out in favor of being a platform like this. Although there are a few, the Tomb Raider games that were announced at the Game Awards had that Amazon branding with them. I think Amazon owns Crystal Dynamics. And so we'll see if that is still going strong. So it's not totally dead yet. Anyway, back to Amazon here. Amazon Luna. Luna Standard is included with Prime for free with Prime, which is $15 a month or $140 for the year. Notably, you can't buy this on its own. So Standard, you have to have a Prime subscription. It's free with Prime subscription, but there's no other way to get it. You got some key games here, like they have this Courtroom Chaos featuring Snoop Dogg, powered by AI Snoop Dogg. Here it is. It's kind of the big marquee one they've been going with, but you also got your Tetris Effect and your Angry Birds. Goat Simulator 3 is another one that's been big as well. A handful of Jackbox games. There's also some board games, like digital versions of board games, like Ticket to Ride and Clue, Categories, and Taboo. But then you also have your capital G gamer games that are both AAA games and in the indie space. I mentioned Indiana Jones I'm playing, Dave the Diver is here, Dredge, FC26 Showcase, which is a kind of demo version of FIFA. What else we got here? Fortnite is, a free game, but you can play it cloud-based instead of if you don't have a console. Guacamelee 2 I saw on here. That's one I love. Hogwarts Legacy also shows up. Hollow Knight. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That is alongside Luna Premium, which is a $10 a month service with its own batch of games. I saw there that like Alien Isolation, Batman Arkham Knight, Control, Death Stranding are all big ones there. This one you can buy on your own. You don't need Prime. You pay for $10 a month, which is slightly cheaper than Prime if you want to do it this way. I don't really know why necessarily you would, unless you don't have a console or a PC and just want to only do cloud streaming. But alongside that whole catalog, you also still have these PC games you can claim, which these you just download, they get added to your library and they stay there forever. This is only for with Prime. If you have Luna Premium, this isn't for you. And it's also only for these PC storefronts like GOG, Epic Games has a lot of them. There's this one that I found today called Legends. I forget, but it's the little Jack's logo. You do downloads and keep these, and most of these are kind of Z-list games that you get, like Christmas Adventure Candy Storm, but occasionally you get some more significant games. Like right now, Lego 2K Drive's out there. I saw XCOM 2 is still available to get. These usually stay up for about a month before going away. The Luna catalog has more impressive games for the cloud streaming, but this stuff is free and downloadable. It's there for you, so that's kind of nice. As a value add to Prime overall, like I think this is pretty great. I'm enjoying this. I was excited to see this. We do have Amazon Prime, and because we're suckers for free shipping and we're chumps. But it is, free-ish and impressive kind of right out the gate. If you I would say if you don't have Amazon Prime, I don't think you should necessarily get Prime for this, but it's there if you're like me. Next up here, another one you may have that you don't know it is Netflix games. That started a few years ago, but it was also refreshed with its own marketing push more recently. Oddly similar to Amazon Luna's whole refresh, where they're kind of cashing in on party games on your TV or use your phone as a controller. This is included with Netflix, of course, which Netflix right now, let's see, is $8 a month with ads, or $18 a month for standard, or $25 a month for premium. I believe games are all on all of these tiers. I guess the games would be ad supported too on the $8 tier, $8 a month tier. I don't know. I currently don't have Netflix. I'm not trying these out myself. These are also you got a few games on TV. Going with these party games here, including Boggle Party, Lego Party, Party Crashers, Pictionary, Tetris Time Warp, and Dead Man's Party. So many parties. A Knives Out game. Those are all for your good party times. But what they've had going on for a while now are the mobile games. These have been here for a while. You got things like Puzzled, which kind of like their own version, like the New York Times crossword. Dead Cells is a big one here. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Sonic Mania as well. And then a few others I noticed as I went through. Kentucky Route Zero is one that I had played a while back when I had Netflix. I think I saw this one got taken down, but maybe it still is there. I know, and plus other Netflix-inspired games, like Stranger Things 1984 is a kind of arcade beat-em-up that takes place in Stranger Things. Into the Breach is also another big one. That's a big deal. They do lose games every so often. I know there's a batch of significant indies. Red Dead Redemption was also one that got added recently. It's a big deal. Earlier this summer, I saw like a handful of more of their beloved indies went away, like Hades and Monument Valley. I don't think anyone's flocking to Netflix for these, but it's nice that it's here for you. And the last of the ones you didn't know you had is Apple Arcade. This one's more understated. This kind of had its big moment a few years ago. It has had some decent support. I feel like it was a big splash where Apple just kind of shoved it at you every chance it got. You do still get 3 months for free if you buy a new Apple something, but you're less likely just to have it by default by now. It is $7 a month on its own. You get 200 plus games, all mobile. You do need an iPhone or iPad or something Apple related. It is at $7 a month. That's one of the cheaper entry points that we've talked about so far. But where I think this maybe makes more sense is if you're using Apple One. This is actually kind of where we ended up doing this because we're big Formula One fans. Apple just bought the TV rights for Formula One, so we're Apple TV subscribers now for the next season. We're already on Apple Music, and so those two together, Apple Music and Apple TV Plus, you're already paying more than if you just got Apple One. Apple One is $20 a month, or a family plan for $26 a month. You can share it with up to 5 people, so 6 people total. You do have to all be on one payment card, so make sure you trust the people you're doing this with. But like I mentioned, if you're paying for Apple Music and Apple TV on their own, Apple One is already a few bucks cheaper, and then you get Arcade tossed in too. A few key games in here. Slay the Spire Plus. I know Balatro is in here as well. Sneaky Sasquatch is kind of their kind of Metal Gear Solid light game they came out with. There's a few 2K games that are kind of the arcade versions. Currently, I'm really into Suika Game, which I know is a big Switch kind of viral hit for a while there. One annoying thing is that a lot of these are kind of like they're a different version. So Balatro is Balatro Plus. So if you're into Balatro and you get Apple Arcade and then you don't have Apple Arcade, you can buy Balatro on the App Store. But as far as I know, that does not carry, your progress doesn't carry over. So it's locked to Plus or not Plus. Bit of a bummer there. If you mainly play on mobile, I think this is probably for you, assuming you have an iPhone. All of these are downloadable. These aren't cloud streaming. You can also use a controller for a lot of these games too, and I guess you could. There aren't really any real AAA or big games in general here, and so it's all more mobile, bite-size based. Games do get removed over time. Sometimes they get put onto normal app stores, so it's not like you'll lose the game entirely. I'm a little surprised to not see Apple push this more because everyone else is pushing their subscriptions and gaming libraries, but they've just been more quietly plugging away at it, kind of probably there just as the value add for Apple One. And so those are your 3 ones that you probably didn't know you had or have access to. And now we're moving into a bit of a lightning round of a handful of other smaller ones, kind of maybe worth a look. All of these really also fall kind of the same category above in that they're probably more for PC gaming. I have felt like I have Steam Deck now, and that's kind of where my entry point into PC gaming. I believe that it was generally cheaper than console, but not wildly cheaper. But you do just get free games or ridiculously cheap games tossed at you from all angles. You don't always get the exact game that you want to play for necessarily cheaper, but you're never out of stuff to play. That includes, here we're looking at Humble Bundle. Humble, known for its bundles. Portion of those proceeds go to charity. For $15 a month, you can also get Humble Choice, which they just random games. Usually there's like 10 to 12 a month. Just get given to you. It's $15 a month. This month is including 9 Souls and Like a Dragon, The Man Who Erased His Name, Streets of Rage 4, and those rotate out each month. Next on the list here is Epic Games. This is not a subscription service. This is a storefront itself. They just have free games that you can get. There's a constant rotation of them. There's always a free game you can download. As far as I know, really no strings attached, unless the strings attached you have to use the Epic Store or Epic Launcher. Right now, Hogwarts Legacy is free to keep. It's still up there for you until December 18th at 11 a.m. You can go get it right now. Next, we have Fanatical, also not necessarily a subscription, and they tend to have cheaper bundles than even a Humble Bundle. Usually, it's a whole deal where you can pick 3 games for $10. So we're looking at the Best of Platinum Collection, build your own bundle where you can get Disco Elysium, Fallout New Vegas, Doom 2016, Lego Brick Tales, SteamWorld Classics bundle with a bunch of them. Those are each, get 10 of them, or sorry, you get 3 of them, you pay $10. They're $3.33 each. Those prices go down the more games you buy. They also do these mystery bundles where it's like you can get, right now you can buy 25 mystery games for $16.69, which is just, if you just want to kind of play the lottery there. Next up, we're looking at the Next Playground. It made some headlines recently for outselling Xbox over Black Friday, much more geared toward families, and it's the kind of the next step in the Xbox Kinect or PlayStation iToy family, where it's a camera pointing at you, where you're using your whole body to play these games. It's a cool idea. I saw this a while back and thought it was really cool looking, but unfortunately, it's kind of the worst case scenario of subscription services. The thing itself is $250. I think it goes down to $200 for Black Friday. It comes with 5 games. Starts out with including Fruit Ninja, which I bet is probably a ton of fun. But everything else is locked behind a subscription called the Play Pass. It is $90 for a year or $50 for 3 months. This wouldn't be a huge deal, but you just can't buy games outright. You have to have this subscription, and otherwise it's like you just have the 5 games and that's it. That's a bit of a bummer. So I guess just want to make sure you're really using it. If you were interested in this, I bet you could find it on Facebook Marketplace in about 3 months. So I mean, that's worth checking out there. On the topic of hardware specific stuff is the Playdate. It's a little handheld that came out a few years ago. Looks like a little square yellow Game Boy with a crank as one of the buttons, I guess you would call it. I don't have one of these. I've never tried it, but it fascinates me. I think it's so interesting. It does start you out with, so the Playdate itself is $230, $229. It starts you out with 24 games that get given to you over 12 weeks. That's 2 games a week that rolls out for you to try out one at a time. All this first season of games is kind of only in black and white, kind of original Game Boy-esque, but very high pixel density, so it looks pretty good. There is a season 2 that you can buy for $40. It also includes color. Beyond that, you can get in the game catalog, people make their own games. You can, sometimes they're free, sometimes you pay for them, and you can also make your own games. So that's part of it as well, if you're into that. Beyond that is the Google Play Pass. This is, like Apple Arcade, but for Android users and only Android users. You can't get this on iPhone. It's $5 a month, or it's $30 for a year, which is a pretty decent deal. Some of these games you're looking at, there was Stardew Valley was on here, Sonic the Hedgehog 1, Terraria, Monument Valley, some of these kind of classic indie games, and a bunch of other stuff that you had never heard of before. I'll mention as well, I have Steam here, also not subscription service. Occasionally they have free games, but they also don't really show you that well. Sometimes they go, the free games get lumped in with all the stuff that is always free. Your Dota 2 and PUBG, Marvel Rivals, but every so often there's like a legit game that's free for you, and sometimes it's just, you gotta search around the internet. People aggregate these and post about them. Last 2 here, I kind of hear just because they need to be, and not that I'm really thinking about them that much, but EA Play is there for you if you want EA games. So $6 a month, or you can pay $40 a year, or the Pro version is $17 a month, or $120 for the year. That's the one that gives you day one access to full games. These are your FCs and your F1s and your Maddens and Tales of Ganzera, which is a pretty fun game. I wouldn't go with EA Play for this. EA Play is only on PC, but Pro is also only on PC. Thinking of our next one, which is Ubisoft Plus, which is $7 a month for Classic, which only gets you the Classics library, which is really kind of most anything up to, like that came out a year or more ago. Classics is $7 a month, only on PC. Premium, $18 a month, which gets you all the stuff on day one. That is playable on Xbox and also can be played on the cloud with Luna. Bringing that one back. And there you have it. That's all of them. That was a lot, and I apologize, but thank you for being here. Also, speaking of apologies, I am sorry for the slow pace of the podcast. It's been a wild December, and both want to take some time to take it easy, but also there's no time to take it easy. Looking at probably one more episode before the end of the year, and so I'll see you back in probably a couple weeks here before we hit the ground running again in 2026. As one little final shout out, congratulations to the Backlog Breakdown for 200 episodes. As you're listening to this one, their 200th episode is coming out today. It's there for you now. Go check it out. Thankful for those guys, and I love what they do, so good on you. And also, thank you all for listening in. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you found some games that you didn't know you could just play for free right now. Or not free, but games you're already paying for. You can also follow us on the major podcasting services or on YouTube. You can press all the good buttons there if you enjoy this conversation. You can find us on the proper socials at Quick Play Pod and let us know what is the best subscription service. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks. Bye.